Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI360. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we're looking at the dramatic development in the People's Democratic Party over the 2015 presidency. Of course, the party has, well, let me just put it this way. The party's decision-making organ, that's the NEC, the National Executive Committee of the party, has decided to make President Goodluck Jonathan its sole candidate. Now, the Board of Trustees also had a meeting before that where that organ of the body took the decision to adopt President Goodluck Jonathan as its sole presidential candidate. So the primaries of the PDP, the presidential primaries now has not taken place, but somehow we know who the candidate of the party is. And the PDP governors too have said it is Goodluck they're going to stand with. That is, he is the sole candidate of the PDP. We're still waiting to hear from some other politicians in the PDP who have presidential ambition, what their reaction will be. But basically what the PDP has just done is to shut the door at any other person who may be harboring any kind of intention at all to run from the president, to run for the presidency under the platform of the PDP. So bottom line, when that primary, that's the presidential primary of the PDP, is held, it's just going to be more or less like an affirmative primary. So President Goodluck Jonathan would be standing against himself. And of course, we can safely assume now that he is the presidential candidate of the PDP, even though, don't forget, the president has not formally declared his intention to run now. But somehow I think he has done that indirectly. Why? Take a listen to what he said when he accepted that the adoption now as the sole candidate of the PDP.
At this point, let me really say that the events of yesterday, starting with the BOT meeting last night, and what has just happened today here with the various motions, adopting me as the sole candidate of the party has really humbled me. I'm totally overwhelmed. Let me especially thank our governors that initiated that action. Though, of course, before that, the House of Rep, in the meeting I had with them, made a similar thing. But when the governors come up with a joint signed paper, it's like atomic bomb. Let me thank members of the Board of Trustees for that. Let me thank the Senate Presidents and members of the National Assembly. Let me appreciate the PDP women for their position. And let me appreciate members of NEC, because no matter what anybody does, if NEC don't endorse, every other thing is your own, and you will be on your own. But for NEC also to endorse that decision, will remain most grateful. I know the media people will expect me to say something. I am so overwhelmed that I lack words to express my mind.
Well, President Goodluck Jonathan there accepting his adoption now as the presidential candidate of the PDP. Don't forget, it's on record that President Goodluck Jonathan has not declared his intention to run. But of course, I mean, you don't need a prophet anymore to tell you. You don't even need to be, should I say, a baby political analyst to understand that President Goodluck Jonathan would be running in 2015. Joining me now to dissect some of this, some of these intrigues, political intrigues, I want to call them, is Mr. Chiman Naji, who, of course, is a lawyer and also a political affairs analyst. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the program. I mean, we can safely assume now, of course, that assumption has always been there, but we can safely say that Goodluck Jonathan would be running in 2015.
Sure.
From the comments he made there.
Yes, it has always been known by keen political observers that the president will run. And many people in his constituency also had been known to have canvassed that he had to, even if he did not desire, that it was desirable to them, his supporters, that he should run. And a lot of political activities in the opposition, and even within some people who are opposing certain things in the party, are geared to preventing him from running. And there have been so much political shenanigans and a lot of maneuvers going on to ensure that he is discouraged from running.
Right.
And so that made him keep a sealed lip, such that it would be like Jesus Christ asked, they asked Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ asked his followers, who do they
say I am?
He didn't say what he was. They said it. He said, you said it. So you will not, Jonathan will not be accused of having declared when the time had not come, even with all the effort to make him. So, but this particular instance, it's an elected president, very elated. You can only be elated over something you prize, you value. It's an elected president that stood there acknowledging with immense gratitude, so humongous that he will not find words to speak to the press.
Yeah, and that he's so overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed with joy. So I think this should put paid to the speculations and any shenanigans attached thereto that the president is running. And I expect with this, the opposition should also now sharpen their own strategies to match the PDP candidate. There is experience coming. He has experience on the table. No matter whether positive or negative. Whatever way you perceive it, he's a sitting president. He has some experience. He has certain advantages that go with the office.
Before we go to that,
yes,
let us look at what this means for the PDP. I mean, this is did you see this coming, that the party itself, not just the party now, I mean even the governors of the PDP, and among the governors we know some who have been very critical and who had opposed his intention from day one, all of them coming together to say, look, we just want you as the sole candidate. Did you ever see this coming?
I knew it would come one day. The date I could not predict.
That the governors, the
all
BOT,
those people who
the
make
House
noise,
members,
some of those
the
who, in politics, you make noise to take position. Do you get the point? Not everybody who expresses desire to run for an office even has the machinery to put his desire in motion. So sometimes they just settle you, you go. But one thing you cannot remove from Jonathan is that he's a very calculating person. And calculating persons cannot be taken for granted because they can go either way. It's just like a cobra. A cobra will just be watching its prey. That's why when it strikes, it hardly misses. The prey will be dancing around. Then the cobra has monitored the movement, will be able to predict whatever the prey might want to do if it decides to come this way, that way. That's why the cobra hardly misses its prey. Now, you can see how long we have come for this day and for this event. A lot of political maneuvers.
So you think the president must have worked for this?
Absolutely. His men.
Or it just
both TAN and all these things you see crusading everywhere. Do you think it is for nothing? It may have come at a price, because every political negotiation comes with a price. You understand? It comes with settlement. Settlement may not be monetary. It may be promises or instant gratification of certain requests that will confer benefit to those who may probably have been agitating.
Well, what do you think some of those benefits? I mean, because it's difficult to imagine that setting promises could make some people change their mind. People who had right from day one.
In Nigeria, we have very few principled politicians who go for what their heart desires. In fact, some people engineer situations for certain expected outcomes, not because they believe in a particular process based on principle. For example, what about somebody or a group of people? Because when the political situation begins to charge up, some people come into groups and say this will never happen. And that is a kind of a discordant tune in an otherwise symphonic environment. You understand? So such people stand out. If you look around, you cannot deal with them ruthlessly. You try to contain them. And once that consensus has been arrived at, everybody will begin to sing the same tune. Now, what you have seen now, the Niger State governor was once a very strong agitator that, in fact, anytime he made pronouncements, it was like the whole north was going to blow up in the face of the president. The same thing in Sule Lamido. Even as recently as that the whole posters and so on were flooding some, and he has been talking tough too. So I think it is kudos to Jonathan's war machineries, political war machinery.
But even with this endorsement, I mean, with this adoption now, do you still think there's a chance that some members within the party will still say, look, we still want to run? And would it be right for the party to shut them out? Some
members might, because when you watch and see that perhaps those people who agitated were called to a meeting, and when they went in with a frowning face, they came out with a smiling face. You want to see what happens inside that kind of meeting and see if it will rub off on you. So you start agitating. Now, constitutionally, everybody should have the equal opportunity to run. And that's where my own problem with the political system in Nigeria. Even the APC has that problem. Many people are averse to elections. Do you understand? Because of the fear that it may not be free and fair, even though we have the capacity to make it or make elections free and fair. But you must follow the constitutional provision and give everybody. In fact, classical political theory says that the ballot box is the most painless killer. You understand? You don't have anybody to blame that he did not vote for you, because you don't know who voted for you and who voted against you. So you go back and lick your wounds. And maybe you may realize that one or two things may have been done during the election. Then you try and plug it next time. But you cannot agitate against it. Look at 2011 or thereabout. The primaries conducted by Okwesile Zemodo, which remains the locus classicus of primaries in this country. Because Atiku and a number of other political gladiators participated in that election, in the primaries. And it looked so transparent because we were watching it on the glare of television cameras. It looked so transparently organized that the outcome could not be contested. Even Atiku as
so for you, the PDP should have gone for that.
Exactly. As vociferous as well, he couldn't go to court.
Let's just take a break here. When we come back, we'll look at the implication of this decision now for the PDP. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. Now, there's no question at all that this decision by the PDP will definitely have implications for the party as we go forward, especially as we move towards 2015. We're still to get reactions from, of course, those who had planned to contest under the platform of the PDP. And we're still trying to find out if what this means is that they would not be allowed to contest again. I still have Mr. Chiman Naji with us here. Let me ask you this. Do you think there could be repercussions of the PDP taking this decision?
Well, if the party is able to contain fringes of complaints, I say fringes because the commanding height of the party leadership has endorsed the president. There could be small pockets of people saying it shouldn't, because politics is about who gets what, when, and how. You understand? Those people at a certain rung will say the people at the higher rung have been sorted out and we are left in the cold. But after all, we are the ones that form the base of the pyramid. Okay? So such agitations we should not be allowed to rock the boat. So definitely there will always be small agitation, but how you handle it, because politics is about conflicts, but conflict within consensus. So the issue is that even the repercussion is beyond the party, because this is a ruling party. And we have only one major opposition party. A precedent has been set. The opposition party has not fared well or fared better, because the opposition party appears also to be averse to elections themselves. So the party at the center should not have gone to that level, because they should be able to pride itself. It should be able to pride itself, we are more democratic. You understand? But now it appears, even though it is allowed by the Electoral Act, statutorily, you can have that arrangement, okay? But there are certain degree of morality that must be brought into politics.
Do you think this decision benefits the opposition? Because, I mean, because to them now it's clear that they're standing against President Goodluck Jonathan. Does it in any way?
In fact, the party itself had always vaunted that if the president is recontesting, it will make a minced meal of the opposition. Because in the opposition, there are people who are not ready to trade off their interest for the total galvanization of the party. And that is going to be a very strong albatross that could weigh the opposition party down. And I don't like such a situation, because it gives us a Hobson's choice, which is no choice, in reality. So the party in the opposition should put its hearts together to also get a formidable candidate, even if the candidate does not win. Because the carpenter does not cut a wood in one sawing. You understand? We must have given the wood some wound, so that if in the course of time it has to bend, it must be from the root where the saw had done the damage.
And you don't think the opposition may have gotten to that root? That at this point, this is the point where
I sincerely don't think that the opposition should, in fact, even think that it should be able to win the 2015 election at the national level. You know why? It just came together. There are a lot of political dynamics. It is trying to sort itself out. It's just like when an aircraft just takes off. There are a lot of forces that it must resolve. It must resolve to gain height and stabilize.
You look at what has happened in the PDP now. You are tempted now to say, look, whether you like it or not, these guys who left the PDP were sort of, justified to have done that. They've actually been vindicated, because they had always known that their party, the PDP, was going to adopt President Goodluck Jonathan as the candidate, and that there was not going to be a level playing field for them.
Well, that is only to
some of them had presidential.
That's only to the extent that all of them have had presidential ambition.
Well, the majority of them.
And the majority of them.
And we could as well say, well, all of them had presidential ambition, because we know they all have one thing in common. They want the presidency to come to the north.
Fine. Now, if they wanted it, and that was the reason they left PDP. Are they left with a better option in the circumstance they find themselves? You see, that is the problem in Nigerian politics. And that's why people keep tossing up and down.
But really, what is wrong with the opposition? You know, because you've just been, you keep saying that. What exactly is the problem?
The opposition, I'm talking about the issue of leadership and organization. You understand? Now, there is always a good desire to have options, alternatives. They make the existing ones better and even provide more opportunities for people to see that things can be done differently. There's no doubt about that. But when you see that the same people with the same character have influenced even the thinking of the opposition, I mean, we have seen these facts. That's why it is easy for them to, liquid that have this similar constitution are miscible. They are very miscible. So it is not material, whether it's contained in a rectangular bottle or in what another shape of this. So that is the problem with Nigerian political setting. You understand? It's not so much of principle or what the people are going to get out of it. It is what the individuals want the people to believe they plan to give them. But because as human beings, we now have snippets of errors that give us away. You know, just like a crime. Every crime leaves a trace for the trained eye to solve it. So that is the problem. And it is not good for the polity, because you should be able to have options as a Nigerian citizen. But what is now going on is a Hobson's choice. Okay? Now, the people at a, I have had occasion, and I said it on the media, on TVC to be specific. Sometime last year or last 2 years, I can't remember, immediately as they were talking about the emergence of APC, I told Yori, I don't know who will be president, but I know those who should not bother
to contest.
Yes, and we were about 3 on set that day. Most of them were already taking positions. Me, I have nothing to lose or gain. I have no political party anymore. You understand? I'm no longer interested in party politics for now. I said, Babangida should forget about his presidential ambition, whether in PDP or any other party. Atiku should also give way for younger elements with better ideas.
Atiku is not an old man.
Well, I'm not talking about younger persons. I didn't say, are you as old as Atiku?
I'm not bad.
So I chose my word. I said younger persons, even if you senior that person by 1 year. Then I said Buhari should retire and become a statesman. Because when you stay too long in the village square, you start hallucinating.
A man who got 12 million votes, asking to retire.
Well, I said so. That was my calculation, and that still remains my opinion. And I think that opinion is expanding. Many people are adopting that opinion because of many things happening now. And so, and I said that Tinubu, as he was being vaunted that he had a vice presidential ambition, should make do with the leadership of the party so that he can concentrate in making a viral opposition party, which Nigerians will be proud of. Because when you start talking about locus of office, you lose focus on the bigger picture.
Do you think 2015 will still have President Goodluck Jonathan as president? I mean,
presently, I don't see a strong... In fact, like PDP will say, they were praying that Buhari should be the APC presidential candidate. But that is their own prayer. You understand? They believe that having been beaten twice, he will also be beaten again. And let APC not make that mistake, because Buhari may have believed that he has worked so hard to make this party what it is today. I mean, the opposition party. And therefore, it will be very wrong to push him out at this stage. And that is also going to present a problem and some challenges again. The way they resolve it will determine how fast they move.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Well, that's it on the program. If you want to watch it again, it's simple. All you need to do is just go to our website, tv360nigeria.com. You'll find the program and lots more there. You can also watch it on YouTube by subscribing to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TV360 Nigeria. You could follow us on Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria, or just like us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com/TV360 Online. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at TV360 Online. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week.